Welcome to the Good Neighbors of Texas podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. I'm your host, Ron Holt. Welcome to episode number 4 of the Good Neighbors of Texas podcast. Today we have the good pleasure of speaking with Seena Kansari, or I should say Coach Seena. He's a master coach and has been involved in fitness for close to 20 years and been involved primarily as a coach and fitness business owner for the last 10 years. And he has a business called The Gym in Lost Pines here in Bastrop, Texas. Good to have you here, Seena.
Thank you, Ron, for having me. Pleasure to be here.
Thank you for coming here. Tell us about your business, kind of unpack it for us.
So our business, the Gym in Lost Pines, is pretty much what we call a training gym in the industry, or a personal training gym. It's a little bit different structure. If you flip the typical gym structure on its head, so rather than focusing on gym access, people kind of coming and going as they please, and then perhaps participating in some personal training as an add-on, personal training and coaching is actually our primary service. So we're a service-based gym. Essentially, it feels like a clubhouse for the clients, which is a little bit different.
That's tremendous. And I noticed one of your bylines is it's fitness for those over 40.
That's
Tell
correct.
us about that. Why is that? Why over 40? What happens when you're 40 years old? That
Sure.
you need to...
Well, I probably get the most questions about this. Sometimes people draw an eyebrow. They're like, well, what do you mean by fitness after 40? Since it's a training gym or personal training coach-led gym, we need to have a specialty. So first and foremost, I did not know this going into the business close to 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought I would generally train different populations and work with everyone, but then it was told and guided to me that you should actually have a specialty. You can't be a generalist in today's world. So with that, we chose fitness after 40 because most of our clientele, even many years ago, were after 40, about that age. Our clients, they tend to think and laugh that things just snap and change when you turn 40, but it happens different times in life for everyone.
Yeah.
Some people it's 50, some people it's 35, where they're like, I could use a little bit of additional guidance with this. I don't really know where I'm going. I need some help. So that's why we're there.
That's really good. Do you find people that are over 40, they tend to slow down, be more contemplative, look at their life, where they've been or maybe want to go, and that kind of makes them more open to a training routine, your coaching? I mean, you have small group training, you have team training, you have 12-week accountability. There's a lot of good things you're doing. What's the kind of dynamic or the attitude that you find of those typically over 40?
Well, it's a great question. I say that our clientele, the people after 40, always have the best why. In order to set a goal, you need a good personal meaning behind that goal. And folks at this age and demographic happen to have the best whys. Maybe they want to get back to hiking or traveling, or many of them have grandkids or at least children. So I always say they have the best why. And that's very important with fitness.
I like that. Well, tell us, Seena, tell our listeners about your journey, or how did you get into the business of fitness in the first place?
Gosh, well, it's a long road, but it's been one in the process for even more than 20 years. I was about 15 years old, and I had my first gym membership at the Vic Coppinger YMCA in Pearland, Texas, Houston area. And day one, I walked into the main gym floor, and I saw probably about 3 or 4 young guys, all in the same matching polos, but filling out their sleeves. They had biceps and just kind of perusing, moving around the gym floor. And I'm like, this is something I want to do. I kind of knew that from that day. It took me many years since to actually get to that path, but I knew right then and there that this is something I could go after. Fitness, though, also had a leaning for myself in terms of my hobby. I got involved in competitive bodybuilding. So I ran that avenue in adjunct to the schooling and education. It's been a long path, of course.
That's good.
Quite a road.
That's good. So what made the shift? So you're into your own fitness, bodybuilding, and all the benefits and results for yourself, to move from that to teaching others, training others, and being involved in helping others. What happened or what made the change for you?
These are all good questions. Ultimately, I ended up going back to school while working full time. I was actually in construction as a safety officer and got my master's degree. And while doing that, I knew that I wanted to seize the opportunity and make a career out of this. It was time to do it. I had waited long enough. And with that shift to making it a career, I started slowly turning my attention towards my clients. And it's very different. I think some people actually, they get involved. They think if they love fitness, then they could adequately be a coach. Sometimes that's just not the case. When you share fitness with people, and better yet, when you try to help people out that have no real interest in fitness in the first place, it's quite a different experience. So making that transition, ultimately, it was because I wanted to make a career out of this. Bodybuilding created a great foundation for me in terms of practice and experience in the trenches. One way to be a great coach is to have gone there and worked out and done all the things. But by the same token, I'm happy to start transitioning and flipping that around where I'm focused on being the coach. They say those that don't do well coach. Bodybuilding, I was very passionate, but I didn't necessarily have the genetics or God-given talent for it. But coaching, for sure, absolutely. It's right down my avenue. I love teaching people. I love learning more information and then passing that along.
It must be very rewarding for you to do that, right?
Absolutely.
Well, tell our listeners about some myths or misconceptions. And I'm sure when it comes to fitness and gym and working out, training, what are some misconceptions you hear about your service or industry?
Well, there's a lot of them. Some of them might be more true than you think, but I think the number one thing, people think about a personal trainer or hiring a personal trainer and coach, and they're thinking about someone to supervise them and count reps. This is not coaching in essence. When you hire a coach, you're hiring someone for leadership and expertise. So I think personal training, it gets misunderstood sometimes. Like any industry, though, there's a plethora of standards and certifications and experience out there. When you hire a personal trainer, you should look at it for the long haul. Some people think personal training is just about picking up all the tricks and learning the technique and form, and they can take that and run with it. But I tell people that's like going into one lecture and thinking you've earned a PhD. You know, fitness takes a while. It's taken me a very long while to develop my own fitness, and that with the clients that we work with.
Any other misconceptions or myths that you know of?
Well, there's a whole lot with regards to actual fitness information, but I'll probably spare you of that. One thing that's important is program design. A lot of times people feel, especially the after 40 client, like they can't or they should underreach for their goals because they're a certain age, or they don't want to go to the extreme measures of, say, doing a fad diet or a crash diet. Yeah. And I tell them, rest assured, if you have someone that can design the training program correctly for you, that can start leading you to your goal right away, be it body composition changes or just moving, feeling, and performing better.
Yeah. So let's say I'm 40 years old now, and I'm obviously older than that, but pretend I'm 40 or after, and I come in and meet you for the first time. How do you introduce them and bring them into the community culture, you call it? It's rooted in, I love that, rooted in community. You not only use the word community, but rooted in. Right. I love that. So there's intentionality.
Yes.
There is, I think, intensity with that. And that's not a bad thing, right?
Sure.
So somebody comes into your gym, they meet you for the first time. Typically, what do you find? Where are they at? The most common things you find in people over 40, where are they at, and how do you take their hand and draw them into your rooted in community?
Yes, for sure. So upon the first meeting that we set with any new prospective clients is our sit-down strategy session. So we'll spend a good 20 minutes, and I tell folks that I'm just here to listen to you. I would say on the average, though, most of our clientele, they've been active at some point in their lives. Maybe they're currently still a little bit active, but life happens, life gets in the way, and they start to realize that I don't have the same pep in my step that I did, or now things are getting more sensitive. I've got grandchildren, children I want to be around for. So they express that they need help getting back to where they feel confident.
That's good.
In their activities of daily living, just feeling better overall, sleeping better, you name it. Most of the folks that come to us are looking for help with general fitness, but they wouldn't mind if they lost a pound or two or lost a little bit around the midsection, and we can definitely help with that as well.
That's tremendous. So tell us, what are you doing for fun? When you're not working, you're doing your business or working out, training, what do you do for fun?
Well, it's a little bit of a rhetorical question, I guess, because a lot of my fun is fitness. I still am a little bit involved in competitive bodybuilding, although it's probably on its last leg. I'm a real simpleton. At work, I'm very vocal and busy and active, but I'm a quiet person in my personal life.
Yeah.
I love movies. I would consider myself a movie buff. I enjoy spending time with family, close friends, and when the opportunity provides itself, to travel for sure. But very basic stuff. Yes.
I like that. So can you describe one hardship or life challenge that you rose above and can now say, because of that challenge, you're a better person for it or stronger because of it?
Of course. So originally in my personal training business in Pearland, in the Houston area, we went through some tough times, COVID, the pandemic. And ultimately, we came out of that and we were pushing hard, but it just didn't work out. And sometimes you reach that point where there's just not a way forward. So that was a very challenging thing for me to do, to let my first business go. Of course, opportunity would rise, and I'm appreciative that I was able to return again and try the fitness business over again. But it was very hard for me. It was hard for me to close that chapter and move on to the next one. There was, of course, a lot of anxiety with that and the what ifs, but where I stand today is testament of how it's made me stronger. And ultimately, I think with businesses or business owners, it's important to be transparent. It's not all the successes in the ups and the hurrahs. There's definitely some challenging times. And it's like, failure, it's like when you go in for an exam and you don't do quite as well as you anticipated. What do you do the next time? You always tend to study harder. And that's what I've experienced with this transition coming from the Houston area and Pearland now here to Bastrop with my new gym.
It's interesting, the fact that you, in this journey in your life, you came to the point where you had the courage to say, I'm going to stop what I'm doing. I'm going to learn from it and then shift, pivot, and make a change, right?
Yes, absolutely. And I would say that business is always smaller versions of that. And even a successful business is constantly learning to become a problem solver and become the best problem solver and look to find new ways to approach things, for sure.
I like that growth mindset. It's a growth mindset, right?
Yes, it has to be.
That's good. That's good, Seena. Can you share any success stories from members who have participated in your program and how that you've intentionally gotten involved in their life to solve their problems, right? Absolutely. You solved your own problems, you rose above it, but how did you help them solve their challenges physically or?
Well, I have a lot of good examples. There is one particular couple, they're both in their 80s.
Wow.
So they came to us together as a unit, sort of treat them like their own private one-on-one. The two of them came in together, and actually the gentleman, his son and his wife, they're actually good clients of ours as well. So it was a referral, and most of our members are. They needed help with general fitness. One of them was not confident getting down on the floor and getting back up again. So you design the training program and you start very soft with them, as we say. And now they're at a point, one of my coaches, one of our team reported that this individual is now confident getting down on the floor by themselves and can get back up. In training alone, that opens up a lot of possibilities now. But in life, everyday living, it also opens up a lot of possibilities.
Absolutely.
By the same token, we've had clients, quite a few, that didn't believe that they could build muscle or lose body fat in the way that they have around their age, and we've helped them succeed there as well. A lot of great stories. I like to mention the clients, though, And I tell my community this, that I'm always for the underdog. I like telling the stories about, they say, become the best beginner coach. And I feel like we are the best beginner coaches in some ways. And I like the stories like that. Body transformation is very fun, and we've got a lot of great examples of that. But the folks that have a good why behind their goals and they don't think they can do it, and you help them discover that they can do it.
That's good.
That's what I like talking about.
Tell me a little more about becoming the best beginner coach. It's interesting.
Absolutely. Trying to be the best beginner coach, not only does it make you a better coach, but that's what we tell. It says on our website, in fact, we speak beginner. A lot of folks don't like the gym. They'll come to us and they say, Coach Seena, I actually hate the gym. And I'm like, okay. I know what they mean, though. Gym can really just be a building in space, right?
Yeah.
But what they mean is they haven't been exposed to a culture that's similar to their own and a group of people that is similar to their own. So with that, becoming the best beginner coach is also having yourself strive to learn as much as you can, because you cannot be a good beginner coach. Anyone can get a high-level athlete fit or someone that's genetically talented for it. But give me someone that doesn't have those leanings, and I'm actually an example myself, and improve their fitness and get them better. That says something.
That's really good, Seena. That's really good. There's so much in what you're saying. What differentiates you from other places?
Well, first of all, we treat coaching with a high standard. So when we say we're coaches or we're personal trainers, we treat it to the utmost standard, which means qualification, which means experience, which means customer service. I think coaching, you can get a certification and become a coach, but to really dive in and have success and be effective on people, you have to learn to be able to step into their shoes. And we know how to do that very well. I would also say the expertise, so we're a gym that houses myself, a master coach, and a team that can provide you something more. We have community events, for example, where we'll put on a seminar or brief workshops. We like to teach people other ways, or in other ways than just the workouts face to face.
That's good.
Thirdly, I would say just the representation that we give. This is a professional, upscale adult gym. The way we do things is the way they should be done in any industry professionally, and we keep those standards.
That's tremendous. So how can listeners learn more, contact you, or stop by your gym?
Well, the first thing I would say and encourage everyone to do is check out our website. We do have buttons on there that will lead you to a form that you can fill out with some basic information, and we can set up a complimentary strategy session. That's that sit-down goal-setting session. Other than that, we do have a Facebook business page. We're on social media. Definitely check us out and the content that we have going out there.
That's great. And I notice on your website you have personal training, small group training, team training. You have the 12-week accountability and also nutrition.
Yes.
Right?
So ultimately, we offer personal training, both in the forms of one-on-one, which is what you classically imagine, but then also small group training, which now we're shifting over and calling it semi-private personal training. The team training classes, we do have gym access for clients to do self-guided sessions themselves. And as you mentioned, the 12-week accountability program is actually our nutrition coaching that we offer as well. So basically, if there's anything as a coach that we can help you with regards to fitness, we've got it.
That's great. Well, Coach Seena, it's been a pleasure meeting with you and unpacking your story and what you're about. And we encourage everyone listening to reach out to you and get some help.
Absolutely. Please do. And thank you again, Ron, for the opportunity.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbors of Texas podcast. To nominate your favorite local business to be featured on the show, go to goodneighborsoftexas.com. That is goodneighborsoftexas.com. We look forward to connecting good people with great businesses.